Hello, everyone. I hope you're all keeping well. I think people should all be in now from the waiting room. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's everybody in now joining us. We probably will have a few people joining throughout the session, but to those of you who are here now, you're very welcome. My name's Nicola Woods, and I'm the Ireland Programme Manager for Enterprise Nations, so looking after all of our Irish sort of activity. I am going to pop everyone on mute just to avoid any background noise, but please don't feel that you have to stay on mute. If you do have a question or a comment to add, please do jump off. So you're very welcome to today's Go and Grow online session. Today it's all around SEO. So it's 10 steps to using SEO to help your business rank better. So delighted that we have Geraldine joining us today, who's going to be leading the session. So Geraldine's going to do just a bit of a presentation, but there will be time for questions at the end. So please do feel free to pop questions in the chat as we go, and I'll keep an eye on them and ask them at the end. Or if you do have something pressing, feel free to jump off mute and get involved. As I said, this is part of our Go and Grow online program. We launched this program on the 14th of January, I think it was. So we've been running it a couple of months, and the purpose of it is to support 20,000 small businesses right across Ireland to get online. I know we have in some of our events had some attendees from further afield, and that's great, the joys of being online. So thanks again for joining. The way that we are sort of supporting small businesses with their digital presence and everything is these online workshops. So we've been running these on a regular basis with trainers like Geraldine in different areas. We also are having our first drop-in session next week in Carlow. So if you're local to Carlow, please feel free to come along to that and chat face-to-face with some of our trainers. And excitingly, we have e-learning launching tomorrow. So we will keep you updated whenever that goes live, but that's a great opportunity to get to know, I suppose, bite-sized information at your fingertips anytime that suits you. Go and Grow Online is in partnership with Microsoft, Vodafone and Klarna. So we're delighted to partner with them on this program. I'm not going to take up any more of your time, but I suppose just to anybody on the call who wants to reach out, feel free to get in touch with me if you have any questions about Enterprise Nation in Ireland, Go and Grow Online, whatever it may be. Please feel free to reach out. I'll be on for the duration of the call, but for now, I'm going to hand over to Geraldine, and yeah, I'll be chatting to you all very soon. Thank you.
Hi everyone, just first of all, just to explain, I'm on a working holiday visiting family in North Yorkshire, so I don't have my usual setup. So hopefully everything will go according to plan. If not, please be patient with me. Let's see, okay, hopefully everybody can see that clearly. Let me just hide that, there we go. Okay, so how many mechanics are here today? I'm assuming none of you are mechanics. I hope I'm not wrong. I'm definitely not a mechanic or a petrol head. My skills lie in a totally different direction. I'm talking today to you about SEO for your website. So why am I mentioning mechanics and car engines? Well, in the online space, we talk about search and SEO. But have you thought about the fact that Google is a search engine and that SEO stands for search engine optimization? And yet most of us are hoping our websites will bring our ideal clients whizzing down the information superhighway right into our inbox and into our invoicing system. But do we understand how this engine works? And do you think that Google likes you? Will they be sending these searching people on the internet to your website? So while Google can be frustratingly opaque about all the ranking signals that they use, they definitely have given a lot of direction over the years. And yet most of us are hoping that our websites, sorry, I'm just seeing, okay, our websites will just bring people to us. And what Google has repeatedly said, though, is that the websites need to focus on what people want. That is their big aim. What people want when they're searching. If our website gives them that information clearly and concisely and quickly and satisfies them, then that gets a gold star from Google. SEO, so let me just skip these slides here quickly, is not such a dark art. It's not such a complicated mystery as some people think it is. It's not rocket science. There are a few simple steps to take. For just like with a normal car engine, if you make sure that your website starts off being well-tuned and in good working order, and if you give it regular maintenance and attention, over the years, you can hope to have things running smoothly and get you to where you want to go. For SEO steps, I think I just want to be helpful to look at an overview of what happens with the basic search on the internet. Something probably most of you understand as internet users, but it never hurts to be reminded of the basics. So basically, if you look at the flow chart, I hope you can see it might be a little bit small on some of your screens. The user inputs keywords into the search engine. The search engine checks the internet for matching web pages. Then does the search engine find the web page somewhere on the internet? If it doesn't, the web page is not returned on the search engine results pages. And there's a few reasons why it wouldn't find it. If it does find your web page, does the user's intent match what is on the web page? If it's related, it will return it in the search, but it will be low ranking. So it may be page 2, 3, 4, 5, all those other pages that nobody ever really goes to, and thus you'll get a low number of clicks. But if the user intent matches your web page strongly and all the other factors are correct, and meaning that your web page is authoritative, it's noted as an authority for various reasons, then your web page is going to rank higher on the search engine results pages, and thus you're going to get a higher number of clicks. So basically, that's just how search works in a nutshell. Now, let's move on and get going with my top 10 steps for helping your website rank better on search. And here's just a quick summary of the steps. Basically, I've grouped the steps into 3 sections. What you need to do before you start to build your website, what you do while you're building your website, and then what you do once your website is up and running. And of course, rinse and repeat. This is it's steps, but it's also a cycle that you need to go through. And before you get concerned, because you already have a live website, all of these steps are still applicable. If you have an existing site, they can be implemented at any stage. But it just might be a little trickier in some ways and need a bit more care when you are implementing them. So, pre-build. My SEO philosophy is that you need to know what you're aiming at. Otherwise, you're going to miss the target, or you're even worse, you're going to hit the wrong one and waste your time completely. So before you even start with the technical bits of SEO, you need to start with the whys and the whos. So that's where your target audience and goals are so important. And that's where SEO forms part of the digital marketing strategy and is not just something that is standalone. So if you haven't got a marketing strategy, then now is the time to take a look at that before your website and your SEO efforts are wasted. Your business's goals and target audience should be identified so that you know what information to put up on your website. And this is where it can get very complicated, and for big companies with digital agencies, with big teams, they talk about things like buyer personas and marketing funnels and things like that. But you can keep it simple at the start of your business. Think about who your clients are and what they want from you, as well as what you want from them on your website. So who are your existing clients? Which of these clients would you like to have more of, i.e. your ideal client? What do you think they're looking for when they're looking to come to you? What do you want from them when they visit your website? Like, what do you want them to do when they're there? And what do you want to achieve with your website? Some people just want it as a brochure, but other people have it really integrated with their marketing. And so you really have to think about that before you even start with your website. Or if you're going to do a website audit, you think about that and then you come and say, is my website functioning as I need it to for my digital strategy, or do I need to rethink it? So step number 2, part of your digital strategy is competitor analysis. You should know who your competitors are so that you can gauge your competition and also get more ideas of marketing for your own website. This forms part of what we'd call a situational analysis, where you gather information on your market and your business, because there's really no substitute for knowing your niche so that you know what you're up against online. So, obviously good Google research again, but also hopefully you are in the right niche and in the market and you understand it. But competitor research is not about just going to copy your competitors, but unless your business is something totally unique and market disrupting, then there's no point in reinventing the wheel. You can look at your competitors to see what they're doing well and then do it better. And you can also check them out and see what they're doing badly and definitely don't do that. So that, again, that forms part of your overall digital strategy that you're doing. So number 3, then, as part of your digital strategy is keyword research. You'd be surprised what people type into Google to find your product or service. Don't assume that you know. You need to really figure out what people are typing into Google, and this cannot be based on your assumptions. So start by looking at the main categories or services that you offer and identify the keywords for each of those. They can be single words or phrases, up to about 4 words in a phrase. And then as your website grows and perhaps you have a blog that's going, that's quite detailed, you start doing research into long tail keywords, which is sentences that people write, like, how do I fix the car engine on a VW Beetle? So that's a long tail keyword. But something like engine of VW Beetle is a much shorter phrase, and you might not know exactly what the intent is with that search. So as I said, you look at the main categories of services that you offer, identify the keywords for each of those. Try not to be too broad or general, because those rank your industry, or they may actually have nothing to do with your business at all. And it's also not always clear what the user intent is in short one-word answers. So for instance, if you were a coach, if somebody types in coaching, are they looking at life coaching, business coaching, women's coaching, health coaching, sports coaching? You get the idea. That really need to identify your niche and go after that with your website. If the keywords are too general, then you're going to get a whole lot of people coming to your website that are actually not interested in your business at all. My suggestion is that you use a spreadsheet to organize and keep track of your keywords. You need to research expected traffic volumes and competitiveness as well, because it's no use trying to rank for a keyword that nobody ever uses. So yeah, you're number 1 on search, but nobody's searching for that. Okay, so there are research tools that you can see there on my slide that you can use. Ubersuggest, Google Keyword Planner, Ahrefs, SEMrush, Mozpro, Mangles. They have free versions that you can use, or free trials, and they're quite powerful, even the limited functionality that you can get for free. But obviously, once your business has grown, then you can spend money on something a little bit more expensive that'll give you more functionality and more detail. Okay, so now we are getting into the last step of your pre-build, when you're planning out the structure of your website. So this is really important because Google, people searching are intuitive, and Google AI obviously has really developed over the last number of years, but it is still AI, it's still a robot. So you need to be very clear on what is happening on your website so that Google can understand what your website is about. So you build your sitemap. So I like to use a structured mind map approach to help visualize the structure. And that helps you to see whether some of your pages are maybe orphan pages where they're not linking in properly into the rest of your structure and people can't find them in the menu. That helps to show how people would navigate through your website. And remember, people like simple, they don't like complicated. They want to find answers, information, products easy, not difficult. So when you're setting up your URLs, your website's URLs, just especially if you're using something like a WordPress, be careful for default alphanumeric strings, which are auto-generated, especially on blog posts. So you'd have like your domain name /blog/blog post 12D4Z or something like that. That is meaningless both to your visitors, and they won't remember it, and it's meaningless to Google as well. It doesn't really tell them what the page is about. So you want to use words. And for that page, you want to use your main keyword, use hyphens to separate words, keep it as concise as possible while still making sense. So if you already have a live website, that's okay. You can audit the structure and you can make a decision on your URL changes, but you don't want to lose any existing traffic and link authority that you may have built up if your website has been online for a while. And you also don't want people that have bookmarked things coming to 404 pages. There's nothing worse than a client coming to a website and says page not found. So you need to do a risk analysis about changing your URL structure, use 301 redirects. You need to have some way of updating all the on-page links, linking from one page to the other, and make sure that you update your sitemap with Google as well, so it knows that this has changed. So that's why I suggest using a spreadsheet. You have your URLs there. If you change them, you put that in as well so that you have a history and you can see easily what's happening. So I have mentioned then about the sitemap and Google. So you really do need to make sure that Google knows that you exist. Because you may have put your website up there, but unless Googlebot has indexed your site, then it doesn't even know that you exist. So you use Google Search Console to do this. And you create what's called an XML sitemap, and that gets uploaded to your Search Console. So firstly, of course, you do need to set up Search Console. That's a free Google product, and it's not too complicated there. But the sitemap needs a verification process. You may need to go back to your website developer or your website host to help you set that up if you don't know how to do that yourself. So that's pre-build or planning a revision of an existing website. Now to move on to the steps for building your actual website. So metadata, I'm sure you've heard this kind of bandied about quite a bit. This is just the basic information on your page that tells Google what your website is about. So metadata sits kind of in the background that Googlebot will read. It's not aimed at your visitors, strictly speaking, but a lot of the information that is aimed at your visitors, if it's done properly on the website, that will form part of the metadata. So as you can see, I've listed there's 3 things that need to be on every page. That's your page title, your meta description, and your H1 or heading 1 tag. So in your spreadsheet that you've set up with your URL pages, the keywords that apply to them, you would add these 3 things in there as well so that you understand, and maybe you can tweak them over time as things might change and develop. So the page title should include your main keywords and your brand name, because this is very important as it will be displayed by search engines on web browser tabs and on social networks when you post things as well. My suggestion is that you kind of have keyword 1 dash keyword 2 and then brand name. So typically the brand name would be, if you've named your website domain and your website correctly in the back end, that will come up automatically on every page. You want to go for about 50 to 60 characters because that's kind of mostly guaranteed what will display. If you think of the search engine results pages, you want the page title not to be cut off, because that's your headline, like for a newspaper article. Okay, then meta description, that should be enticing and engaging to encourage click-through. So it's, again, if you think of Google, the search results, you have your page title and the URL, and then underneath you have this little paragraph. Depending on the device being used, if it's a smaller mobile or a big desktop computer, it's about between 55 and 160 characters, but you obviously want to front load it if you're going more than 55, so that the important information is given there. And you're thinking about that as kind of advertising copy about this page. This is what they're looking for and why they should click on that. And then again, the H1 heading, funnily enough, not always that, especially if you're using a CMS for your website, doesn't always put in the H1 tag. So you need to check that your heading that you have on the top of your page is actually set as an H1 tag, because that then is another key piece of information for Google to know what that page is about. Again, you want to use the main keyword in your page title and in your H1 tag. If you're using a WordPress site, the Yoast plugin is great for this. It helps you can then control it, because otherwise what Google does when it scrapes your site, and when it is looking to return it on the search engine results pages, it decides what to put there. So it's better if you can overwrite that and say, no, I want you to put this in the search engine results page. Okay. Sorry, I'm just going to take a drink of water here. I'm motoring through this because it's a lot of information to fit in. And I do have, this is a PDF basically that I can send you afterwards. Okay, so step 6 and 7 kind of go hand in hand with each other, but they are different to each other. So I've just put them on the same page. You've got page content and website content. And you'll see there in the corner, I said, good content is king. Because you may have heard there's people that kind of have this phrase, content is king, because a huge part of SEO is content marketing. But rubbish content, duplicate content, boring content, that's actually detrimental to your brand. So you want to make sure that the content that you have on your website and that is being shared with internet surfers is good content. So your on-page content is very important for both your customers and Google, and it needs to be clear and engaging to entice the visitor to convert into a customer. Conversions will be different for different businesses and for different pages on your website. Like a buy now page versus sign up to my newsletter or sign up to my course, that different intent makes you structure and have the different wording on the website, on the web page, sorry. So your content needs to be focused around your main keyword and its variations without being unnatural. So you'll see I put there, do not use keyword stuffing. That was an old technique that was used until Google got wise to it. So you're not just putting in tons of paragraphs all saying kind of the same thing, just using synonyms and variations on the keyword. It needs to be easily read and easily understood, and in providing good quality information for the visitor. Otherwise, they're just going to leave. And then as well, internal links help Google to understand how the pages fit together. So if you're referencing another service or another piece of information on another page, then you can link to that with good anchor text use. And then remember your images. Your images need what's called alt tags. So these are important for visually impaired surfers, and they also tell Google what the image is about. And Google Images is also a search at the top, and people do use it. And if there is something that is specific to your business and they're searching for something, those images will come up if they have proper alt tags. And these images also need to be optimized because page load speed is very important, and a lot of SEO focuses on that. You see, I have a quote there from Google. 75% of users say load speed is the most important factor for them when visiting a website. And there's even research that shows that with a page load increase from 1 to 3 seconds, the bounce probability increases by 32%, and an increase up to 5% slower, it increases by 90%. So bounce rate is basically if somebody clicks on the search engine results page, they click on one of the links, they come to the website, and then they immediately go away, navigate away from the website, the web page. That is almost 100% bounce rate. They didn't spend any time on it. And it could be that they didn't find what they were looking for on the page, fair enough. Or it could be, in some instances, they found what they were looking for, but then they would probably have spent longer on that page, and that would tell you with the dwell time. But it could be that the page took too long to load and they got annoyed, and then they went to the next one on the list. So you really don't want to do that. So then the individual page content is fitting into your overall website content. So basically your individual pages together are providing value for your website to people, and will keep them coming back again. And the way to add value to people is to give them information that they need and answers to their questions. So website content needs to be very specific, and that's where I again spoke about long tail keywords. So in a small business website, initially you might just have 4 or 5 pages. This is what the business is. This is how you can contact us. This is the service or the product that we offer. But as you build out your business and your website, then you want to start bringing in people with SEO. And then you need to start putting other types of content on. And that's where things like blog posts or specific landing pages that are not necessarily fully part of your menu structure, and even white papers, especially if you're talking to a technical audience, you want to prepare those and have those on your website, because that will start to draw people in when they are searching those long tail keywords. If your website is live, you need to go through and audit all your current content, and you need to optimize it. You see I've added in that little orange note there, duplicate content is a no. Google penalizes duplicate content. So you don't want to go and plagiarize somebody else's website, of course, and copy and paste all their things. But you also don't want to have pages on your website that are almost identical in order to just create lots and lots of content, because that's not the goal. The goal is good content. So creating all this content, obviously that's where what I spoke about earlier, your marketing strategy and your keyword research skills, that's what's going to inform great content ideas and help you with that. And then that brings us to technical SEO. So this is the kind of SEO that a lot of SEO practitioners initially sell to clients, and what people think of when they think of SEO, because that's it's easy in some ways if you have the skills to fix them, and they can provide quick wins. So that, oh, sorry, I was clicking on the chat there quickly. Catherine, sorry, I just answered your question here because that was a previous thing there. So when you sell products which are similar to one another, will that count as duplicate pages? No, it shouldn't if you're very clear on what differentiates them. So obviously you're selling a lot of necklaces, for instance. You just be very clear and have the page title, the H1 tag, the URL, and then the description. Be very clear on the detail of the product so that it is different. So it's not just if you just put like necklace 1, necklace 2, necklace 3 with a generic description, then that would be duplicate content. But if you describe the necklace and the differences and have a different name for each necklace, then that would not be duplicate content. Okay, sorry, let me just get back to that. So the technical SEO, well, as I was saying, it can provide quick wins and help you actually boost up the rankings a little bit if everything else is in good shape in terms of you have good writing and good content. So the main issues to look out for are listed below. So secure website, that's HTTPS, that assists in keeping sensitive information confidential. Crawl errors, this is when Googlebot tries to take a look at your page and it can't access it. This can be for various reasons, and you really need to fix that as soon as possible. Broken links, every link on your website, internal and external, must lead to a valid page and not a 404 page. Either fix them, redirect them, or remove them. Then page performance. So page performance or page experience has been really in the SEO news for the last year or two. Google had a big algorithm update, and it was really focused on the page experience of people. And that was really related to load speed, which we touched on a bit with the image optimization, and being mobile first or mobile friendly. And some of you may have heard of Google's Core Web Vitals. So that's where they come into play. It's things about how quickly the largest thing on the page loads, how quickly somebody can click in and somewhere on the page that looks, like to fill in a field or a form, and then whether things are shifting around on the page, like you go to click on something or move something down on your phone and it's jumped out of the way and you click on the wrong thing. So people find that very annoying, and or you want to click on something and there's this giant advert that's popped up full screen in the way. That's interstitial. So those kinds of things get penalized by Google. So page performance is very important. Sorry, hi, Jessica. That's a very difficult. You've asked that you've tested the speed on desktop and mobile. It seems like the mobile speed isn't too good. How can I improve this? There's no easy answer to that without having a look at it. There's so many factors that come into play. With that, it depends on your website hosting. It depends on the website CMS that you're using. It could be to do with the CSS, the JavaScript. It's really difficult to understand that without delving into it. But if your pictures are optimized, that's great. If the structure is simple, that's great. Then I would say if it's still very slow, you need to ask your web developer to look at the CMS. You can minify the CSS sometimes, things like that. Or you need to look at your host. We have found in a lot of our clients' websites that it's the hosting that actually slows the website down quite a bit. And just when you say your pictures are optimized, make sure that they're optimized for mobile and not desktop. And Margaret, you've asked the question, and that's one of the steps. So we'll get to that. Great. Sorry, that was just, anyway, as I wanted to say that some of these issues are easy to spot manually, but it's generally faster and more thorough to use a tool or a few tools. And as I said, there are lots of free tools, or they have a free version. And I've listed a few of those there. Obviously, Google has tools, and then there's other companies that have tools as well that are available online. Great. So you've built a website. What do you do next? Link building. As the post build, these last two steps help to add greater impact to your efforts, and they are great for long-term strategic SEO, because as I said, SEO is really a cycle rather than just a journey with an end point that you just stop and set it and forget it kind of thing. The link building is really the key goal of SEO, and that's to increase your authority within the sector. So having lots of good websites link back to your website is a winning tactic. So link building is not about links that you send from your website to other websites. It's about links that come back into your website. Now, in the past, you had things like link farms, and you had links coming into your website that were rubbish from that people paid for links as well. So Google got wise to that, and that you don't want to be caught out by Google by that, because that will get you penalized. So you want to do this the right way, and the right way is producing good quality, informative, detailed content that is better than the other content out there for that specific search query or keyword in your niche. It needs to be high quality. And then what you want is you want other high quality websites that are relevant to your business to link back to you. So you can look at their domain authority of websites that you want to link back to you. There is, Moz has a free Mozbar tool that you can see, but that's their version of domain authority. So that's just a guide, it's not gospel truth. But as I said, you don't want rubbish websites linking back to you. And actually there is a tool in Google Search Console that if you find there are rubbish websites linking back to you, you can disavow that link, because you do get trying to build. The way to do that is firstly have great content and then start promoting it. Of course, you can promote it on different networks, you can promote it on social media, etc. But what you really want to do is personally reach out to key influencers and publications in your niche about your content, in the hopes that they will mention it and link to it. Either possibly you've been interviewed on an online journal or in a podcast that's very popular, and they would have a link back to your homepage, which is great. But if it's something that's more specific, maybe you've written an article on Medium, or an article that you were quoted in the newspaper or something like that, and you could request them to have that link back to the article on your website that has that's the very specific URL for that page as well. So it's going to take some good research skills to identify the websites that you want to link back to you and to build up those relationships with people. And that's also where maybe some PR help would help you as well. So you basically write to whoever you want to take your link and say, okay, we're in the same industry. I am so-and-so, my business is this. I have detailed article on this topic. I notice you don't have an article on this topic. Would you like to link through to my website? Or if you have mentioned there, maybe it's a related service or somebody in the business, then you can mention them in a positive light and then say, I've mentioned you in this article, have a read of it. What do you think? It'd be great if you could link back to me. So it's that kind of thing is how you build links. And of course, you may be just lucky to get a link as well. Okay, so I see you're kind of running out of time here. So number 10 is schema and featured snippets. And I was intending anyway just to very briefly look at that. So this the featured snippets, the knowledge results panel at the top of the search engine results pages. These are the most difficult to implement properly. And it's a more advanced SEO tactic. So that's why I'm not going to go into it in detail. But as a business owner with a website, you should always know, at least at high level, what best practice and techniques are available to you. But if you want to learn more about that, you can find information on schema.org, or if you Google structured data markup helper. But it's generally something that you need a web developer to help you with. So before I... Yeah, so Harry's asking, what site would you recommend to test SEO and download speed? Yeah, so that's what I was saying was Google Lighthouse and Google Page Speed Insights. I mean, they're straight from the horse's mouth, and that will give you information. The only thing to remember is if your website hasn't been online a lot for very long, or hasn't been receiving a lot of website visitors, they will not be using real world data to test that. they'll be using kind of lab data to simulate a test on it, which is fine, but it's just not real world data. So I think I did mention a few of the other tools that you can use to test the SEO. So as I said, maintenance is key part of keeping this Google search engine running well. Remember that SEO is the long game. You shouldn't expect to see major results within 6 to 9 months of starting the journey, which is why people go to PPC advertising initially, just to bring the interest up and to get people in initially, but that is expensive, of course, and the minute you switch it off, then all those visitors go away. And consistency with SEO is key. And remember, when is the best time to make your website SEO friendly? Before you start building it. When is the second best time? Today. You can always go back and fix it. Okay, so we have been doing a few questions, but I'm going to stop sharing my screen here and let Nicola get in on the action, because I think I've gone over my 30 minutes for sure.
No, you're grand. Thanks a million, Geraldine. There's a lot to be covered on the topic, so really appreciate you taking the time to go through that. I know someone has just sent me a direct message wondering if we can share the slides. So do you mind, Geraldine, if you have a PDF, did you say at the start of the session?
I have a prepared PDF, that I can email out to people. Amazing,
super. So we have recorded the session as well, so we'll be able to share that and the PDF after the session. I know, conscious that we put it in for 45 minutes. If anybody does have a last question, now's the time to jump off mute or pop it into the chat. We'll just give that a wee minute, just in case. Okay, well, I'll chat for a minute or two. If something pops up, it pops up.
Well, I see in the chat there's a question that I didn't cover. From Jamil, saying advice for a portfolio website. So is that for a photography website, for instance, something like that? My suggestion there is that you really go to town on the alt tags for your images. So the images need to be really well described. So alt tags, if you use a WordPress website and you have Yoast, you can also put alt tags in there. And Squarespace allows you to do that kind of thing. So yes, but the image as well has, when you upload the file, make sure that the file of the image is also properly named, the detailed name, and not just IMG-2134, that's meaningless, and the alt tags. And then even if it is a portfolio, you can still have some description underneath, and just make sure like those 3 or 4 sentences are really well honed. So I hope that kind of answers your question. Margaret, you asked HTTPS. Okay, so this is the protocol that the internet uses. So HTTP was before they got all into security, and it really needs to be HTTPS because you'll be penalized, and people also don't trust websites anymore that don't have the S. So it means that there's been a security certificate that has been verified and attached to that website. So especially if you're going to take payment online or gather people's information, it's really important. And you can see if your site obviously is secure because the HTTPS or the HTTP. But what people don't realize sometimes is if it's been built in HTTP and then they apply a security certificate, it doesn't always change all the files and the URLs and the image URLs. And then you get what's called mixed content. And then that's also not good and you'll be penalized by the browsers as well. There's a lot of questions there. Yes, Sophia, you can contact me. We do site audits. So you can contact me, Geraldine at swan.consulting. And then World Vegan Mark, I don't know who that is, but visual impairment. There's actually a website. I forgot the URL. I will, if I can recall it, I'll need to find it again. and I can send it on to Nicola, but you can put your website into it and it'll tell you what is wrong with it in terms of visual impairment. You know, people that are colorblind or can't see very clearly, you need to make sure that you have the colors on your website, and the text on the website is quite different. So that's a good point.
Amazing. Yeah, great questions there. And yeah, thank you, Geraldine, for taking the time to go through them and for the presentation as well. If you do come across the link for those, feel free to send them across to me, and I'll make sure to send them out to everybody that's attended today. And I have dropped a link into the chat there just to the Go and Grow online landing page, so that you can find out more about the next workshops that we have coming up, the drop-in sessions, and also the e-learning going live tomorrow. So if you register your interest for that, we'll be sure to pass that along to you too. It covers everything from social media, SEO, cybersecurity, and lots of things in between. So hopefully there's information there that's valuable to everybody. I feel like we're just conscious of time. We're going to have to wrap up today's session. Really keen to have Geraldine involved in more of these sessions throughout the year. So please do feel free to reach out, connect with her, follow up if you do want to continue the conversation too. So thank you, Geraldine, for taking the time.
No worries. Thank you for having me. Thank you for listening. Captive audience.
Yeah, for sure. A few thank yous in the chat there, so that's always great to see. And for anybody that has any feedbacks, comments, anything like that, please do feel free to reach out to me. We're running these sessions right till the end of the year, so we want to make them as beneficial as possible for you. So please don't be afraid to reach out and let me know if you think we could be doing something differently or whatever. Just let me know. I really appreciate any feedback whatsoever. Or if you think they're great the way they are, brilliant, let me know and we'll just keep continuing to do it. So thank you. Hope you all have a lovely rest of your Thursday. The sun's absolutely shining where I am, so hopefully you get outside and into some nice weather. All the best, and yeah, we'll send you that follow-up email shortly. Thank you.